Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 32 female, my parents 60 female and 62 male, have a great relationship. I have a 7-year-old daughter, father is in jail, and they have helped me raise her. My parents are very well off. My dad is an architect and my mom is a surgeon. My brother and I both have trust funds, but were taught the value of money. I think I actually paid attention to those lessons though, because I've barely touched mine. My brother 40 male and I do not get along. He has been bullying me almost my entire life, and I think I finally lost it. I had my daughter after something was slipped into my drink. I don't know what verbiage I'm allowed to use here, so I'm playing it safe. And I was taken upstairs by a group of guys. I was in college, finishing my degree in early education. I ended up finishing school online. Charges were pressed, DNA was tested, video evidence was found, court happened, blah blah blah. The guys responsible are in jail serving 10 years for aggravated SA in the first degree. That was the official charge. I don't believe in abortion, as it goes against my religious beliefs. I'm not gonna lie, I was terrified. I considered adoption because I didn't want to hate a baby, but then I held her for the first time and couldn't let go. Anyway, enough of the sob story. I went to therapy, and I'm okay now. I can talk about it without breaking down now. My brother and I have always had issues, but when I got pregnant, the verbal abuse and bullying from him got worse. W.S. sleeps with anyone were some of the few gems that came out of him. Mind you, I was a virgin when this happened. And the birth went so badly that natural birth turned into a C-section that had complications and led to a complete hysterectomy, so I can't have any more kids. He knows this. He looks down on single mothers and thinks, and these are his exact words, "Single mothers are the bottom feeders of American society. All they do is live off the government and accept any handout no matter what lowlife it comes from, and will probably sell their body to get a payday." Duck him, right? I will say my parents have defended me at every turn. They shut him down and tell him to shut up. Unfortunately, it does not stop his motor mouth from running. My parents have stopped inviting him to family functions and events. Christmas was wonderfully pleasant this past year, without his snide remarks. Mom and Dad have semi-retired and are downsizing to a condo. They want to sign the house over to me. I grew up here, and my daughter is now 2. I love the school zone. I teach at the elementary school across the street. My daughter also goes there. It is near the best parks and areas for kids. Everyone decorates for Christmas. The perfect area for a family. The house is a little large for a family of 2, but I'm also registering to be a foster mom, and I plan to convert my old room into a kid's room with bunk beds. My brother is angry with this plan. He thinks that he should get the house because he's older. Also, because I've barely touched my trust, I should be able to afford a house no problem, right? I could, but that's not the point. This is my parents' decision. If they did decide to give the house to my brother, then that's their decision, and I'll start the hunt for a house in this area. My brother came over this morning, unannounced, and decided to get into a screaming match, meaning he screamed, and no one else could get a word in, with my parents and I over waffles and bacon. My daughter started crying and ran into her room and hid. She's scared of him because he's lost his temper in front of her before. My dad told him to stop. This was their choice, and if they gave him the house, he would turn around and sell it. For your information, the house is valued at $950,000. He looked me in the eye and said, "You're a spoiled little bee who has to take everything because you couldn't keep your legs closed and wanted to take on 4 guys at once." I saw red and lost it. I slapped him across the face and told him to get the duck out my house. I know I don't own it yet, but I just lost it. I had been taking his abuse almost my entire life, and it wasn't just affecting me anymore. It's now affecting my child. Should I have said what I said? Should I get a restraining order? I've never lost my temper like that. Not even in court 7 years ago when I had to testify against those men. I really feel like I shouldn't have lost my cool in front of my parents, or even at all. I don't recognize myself right now. I don't get angry like this. My parents understand my reaction and didn't say anything negative to me about, but I feel like I disappointed them with my outburst. I've always been the measure-headed one, the cool and strong one. So, am I the a-hole? Heck no. Honestly, I think OP's parents were more likely impressed. Blood doesn't always make you family, I guess. In my opinion, OP should see if there's any possibility of getting a restraining order against her brother. He's beyond toxic, and I'm willing to bet that he doesn't care at all that he scared his niece. If anyone is the a-hole here, it's OP's brother. And now let's hear community's opinion. OMG, not the a-hole. First off, I'm very sorry for what happened to you. That is absolutely terrible. I think you should, and filing a restraining order. Duck him. OMG, so not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. Your brother is a huge boss. To say what he said about your own flesh and blood, let alone any human, is a disgrace. I would have slapped him stupid if that was me, so well done on just one slap. I hope he left and never comes back. Make sure you change the locks and put up cameras when the house is yours. Your parents definitely won't be giving it to him. Now I don't understand why he needed to know about the house in the first place. Looks like your parents need to go more towards no contact with him, because low contact is not helping. Don't be upset about your reaction. It sounds like you reached a boiling point, and him pressing all those buttons with his horrible comments to you. I'm so sorry you are going through this, and no matter what, don't admit to slapping him in a text message or anything written. He might try to claim assault on you, gaslight him and claim you don't know what he's talking about. That never happened. Update. So, a little update, and I'm sure I'll be updating again with how everything is going. I dropped my daughter off a friend's house for a play date. The mom knows what's going on, so my parents and I could go sit down with their will and trust attorney. We went over everything. Executor of will, power of attorney, medical proxy, trust funds, properties. I didn't know they had more than one. Ownership of the house, etc. They've removed my brother from everything and have named me trustee to everything, and should anything happen to me, my daughter, her godparents will be in charge of everything until she turns 18. My brother is not allowed at the property. Locks were changed today, and everyone but my brother has a shiny new set of keys. Alarm codes have been changed, new cameras installed, and the older ones have been upgraded. I swear I can see my pores in the new ones. As for the restraining order, my dad pulled the camera footage from the front of the house. It does record video and audio, and it caught my brother saying some very incriminating things about his intentions. I would rather not repeat them, so please don't ask. It scares me. Dad took the footage and me to an attorney to file protections and get the wheels rolling on a restraining order. I'll find out if it's been granted tomorrow. However, my brother has been officially trespassed from the house. Dad thinks the order will be granted with no issues. I did have to inform the attorney that I slapped my brother in case he says anything. Mom and Dad wrote statements claiming that I was defending myself. Mom and Dad are proud of me for standing up for myself, not disappointed like I thought. That makes me happy. So far, everything is going according to plan, and it looks like things are going to get better. Thank you all for your advice and making me feel like I did the right thing. Hopefully the next update won't involve calling the cops, but unfortunately, it probably will. Update 2. Freaking out right now. Cops just left with my brother in handcuffs. Mom, Dad, my daughter and I are all sleeping, and then crash. Front windows get busted by bricks. Dad rushes out, and my brother is crawling through the window with a baseball bat. I grab my daughter, who's crying because she's scared and doesn't know what's going, and she and I go hunker down in my parents' closet with my mom. We can hear the yelling from the front of the house. Brother, why are you giving the house? Dad, get out, or I'm calling the cops. Brother, ducking make me. Ever since you had the B, my life has been hell. He starts swinging the bat around and breaking things. I know things can be replaced, but some of things he broke we can't get back. Itemized list at the end of the post. My mom calls the police and we stay on the phone with them until we hear sirens. My father ended up in the hospital. Brother got tased for refusing to lower his bat and resisting arrest. My daughter is in bed with me because I refuse to let her out of my sight. I can't sleep because I'm so freaked out. Mom is at the hospital with Dad, and there's a cop car outside watching the house. I don't know how things went so bad so fast. Maybe it was my brother being served with the no trespass or finding out about everything else. I don't know how things went so bad so quickly. What makes people act this way? And I'm not delusional, thinking the world is rainbows and sunshine. But honestly, what the hell is wrong with people? What drives them to do this crap? Who smashes through 4 windows while a family is sleeping peacefully in their beds? List of things broken. 1. Both urns containing mom's parents. 2nd. Graduation photos. High school and college mine. 3rd school photo of my daughter. 4. Everyone's framed college degrees. 5. Antique music box from my great-grandmother. 6. Dad's parents' piano. 7th. Service flag with medals and ribbons from Pops. Mom's dad funeral. 8. Antique vase from China. My trip after college. 9. Handmade decorative pots from a tribe in Nigeria my parents got when they went on their 30th anniversary trip. I, 32 female, have a very close relationship with my brother, 24 male. Our parents weren't very present in our lives, and we spent the majority of our childhood living with our grandparents. However, our grandmother recently passed away, and it has a huge impact on mine and my brother's lives. In her will, our grandmother gave me her wedding ring, as well as her engagement ring. As well as this, I inherited their home and many small jewelry and art pieces. My brother also inherited a ring that my grandmother wore every day, and it was a gift from her father. When my brother came to me and told me that he wished to marry his girlfriend of 2 years, I was thrilled. Although I didn't have the best history with his girlfriend, I was over the moon that he was finally settling down. He then asked if he would be able to use the engagement ring I inherited to propose. I said no, as I was planning on giving the ring to my 10-year-old daughter when she turned 16. He didn't seem upset by it and told me that he would rather I had the ring anyway. I suggested he could use the ring that he inherited, and it would be just as meaningful. He agreed. I didn't hear much else about the situation until my family and I got invited to my brother's house for a dinner party. At this dinner party, my brother and his girlfriend announced that they were engaged. I was so excited for them, and we all congratulated them immediately. My brother's girlfriend then said to me, "Thank you so much for letting us use your grandmother's engagement ring." I was shocked. I corrected her and told her that I did not give permission for my brother to use that ring. My brother laughed and told me that he was under the impression that I was just being sensitive and I would eventually give him the ring. I told him that this would definitely not be happening, and I told his girlfriend my plans to give my daughter the ring. She then got super defensive, claiming that my daughter wouldn't benefit from the ring anyways because she's not girly. I was so angry as my daughter overheard this entire conversation and began crying. Neither of them apologized to her, and they still haven't. My brother's girlfriend then told me that I was being selfish, and I would have absolutely no need for both rings as I'm already married, and I only have one child. I told her that I would have been happy to give my brother any other jewelry items that I inherited, but I was not comfortable sharing my late grandmother's wedding and engagement rings. They both then blew up on me, claiming that I've ruined their engagement and my grandmother would not be proud of me the way I was acting. It's been about a week, and my brother hasn't tried to contact me, and my uncle is telling me to apologize and give them the ring to make everything easier. What do I do? Not the a-hole, but ask your uncle if it would help if you would become as difficult to deal with as them, and if he would tell them to apologize and just use the ring they have to make things easier if that were so. Tell your brother any chance disappeared when your daughter was insulted. You are no longer willing to even entertain a discussion on it. Not the a-hole. No way should you give her the ring. Although I didn't have the best history with his girlfriend. Yeah, your initial take was spot on. Give it a couple days and then send this thread to your uncle, brother, and his fiancé. I suspect you're going to get a mountain of support, and your brother and fiancé will be justifiably vilified. And, by the way, the manipulation your brother attempted, obviously pitting you against his fiancé by lying to her about the ring, was complete scumbaggery. I'm getting pissed just imagining it. Good luck, and remember, you're owed an apology, not obligated to give one. Not the a-hole. You did not ruin their announcement. Your brother did that all himself. Your brother lied to you and then ambushed you in order to manipulate you into giving him something that is yours. He took a big gamble on publicly coercing you, and it blew up in his face. This is 100% his fault. His girlfriend is an a-hole too for thinking she is somehow entitled to your property. This is yours. If your grandmother wanted your brother to have it, she would have willed it to him. Those rings belong with you. Also, Be very wary as to when you give it to your daughter if you think there's any chance your brother or sister-in-law will try to guilt her once she has them to try to get them from her. Do not give in to their manipulation and do some kind of compromise like letting them have it just until the wedding, etc. You will not get it back. My husband has no backbone. Otherwise, a fantastic man. His brother has been coming and staying at our place literally whenever he wants to. He doesn't even ask. Just shows up with his crap like he owns the place. I wouldn't tolerate this from my own family, whom I love, so I'm not about to tolerate it from an in-law. Not saying he is a bad guy. He just has no respect for boundaries in the slightest. Eating our food, crashing on our couch, taking up a ton of space because his backpack always has clothes overflowing into common areas. Not to mention, his feet are literally the smell of death, and it's nauseating. My husband has complained several times about it. Says he is ducking fed up with the fact his brother can't even be bothered to ask to come over and just shows up. Says he is absolutely sick of constantly dealing with it, and at least once a week says he will have a talk with his brother on at least asking first prior to coming over. Admittedly, the big issue is we like sleeping in our birthday suits. I have a thyroid problem and sweat like there's no tomorrow if I'm covered at all, and we can't do that with his brother here. So most nights it's extremely uncomfortable for me, especially because this is my ducking house. However, with that said, my husband does absolutely nothing about it. Complains endlessly to me, but never has the talk with his brother, outside of one single time recently where his brother called, and I heard my husband say something to the effect of, "We haven't had alone time in almost 2 weeks, so we're just irritated." I later found out his brother asked what was wrong, and this is what my husband said in response. So it was a hint at best, but something even I would have fully understood. Regardless, his brother showed up here yesterday around dinner time, takes a shower, eats our food, etc. I'm pissed at this point. I felt like crap for a week and don't want company. So I keep dropping comments. You gonna go pick up some wine on your dollar since you ate my food and use my hot water? You gonna help with our electric bill since you're here at least 3 days a week? Stuff like that. Never once yelling or being ignorant beyond what I've mentioned above. He has his own place, no reason to be here. He ends up saying things like, "You have a ducking problem and that's not my problem," or "This is my brother's house. If he doesn't want me here, then he needs to tell me." It's my house. I bought it, but I've never pulled that argument because my husband has been on the mortgage since 6 months ago, and it's his house too, and I 100% agree with my brother-in-law. My husband should be the one to tell him, but he doesn't. So basically he called me a B for deliberately making him uncomfortable. And I said, "Oh, you're uncomfortable? Good, I'm glad you are. Because that's how it feels to me whenever you walk into this house unannounced." My husband said I was too harsh. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add, my husband is incredibly uncomfortable with anyone going against his family. Therefore, to respect him and his wishes, I've not spoken up until yesterday. Husband also has severe survival's guilt due to his brother's manipulation. They were in foster care and his brother got treated like garbage, where my husband was treated like gold. My brother-in-law has pulled the "you owe me because I took the fall for you so many times and saved you from the same crap I went through" lines. Not the a-hole, but your husband is for having zero backbone and for not telling his brother off for saying that to you and then kicking his butt out. Do you lock your door? That would prevent him from just waltzing in. If he has a key, change the locks. But really, you both need to tell him to stop coming over. He's using you, and it's gone beyond ridiculous. Next time he shows up and your husband goes to the door, follow him. Gently push him outside to talk to his brother. Then lock the door. If the brother-in-law leaves, allow the husband back inside. If the brother-in-law stays there, they will eventually head to brother-in-law's place to sleep. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You also have a husband problem. You should not allow yourselves to be used like doormats for him to scrape his crap-smelling feet on. And yes, it's your house too. Tell him you're busy the next time he arrives and don't open the door. For some context, I'm 25 male. My parents never got married, but they had my twin sisters, A and B, 17 years ago. My dad married Lisa 10 years ago, and she has 2 boys, C, 17 and 14. Lisa only has a brother, but they don't talk anymore. I'm not close to my dad after he shunned me at 20 for telling him I was bi. He came by a year after and apologized, but the relationship was never the same. His wife wasn't any better. She was always all over me, telling me that her friends had single daughters, that I could be a family home, that I was good looking, and it wouldn't be a problem until my mom went there and made her stop. C was a little jerk too, but I don't hold anything bad from him because he was a kid, repeating everything he heard from my dad and stepmom. He also developed a crush for B, but it was one-sided and eventually made her feel uncomfortable because you could see he had feelings for her, and she didn't like how close he was to her personal space, i.e., bedroom, clothes, etc. With all of this, I was hoping for the day my sisters turned 18 so they could finally be free from my dad, and I didn't have to see him anymore. The twins asked me if they could move in with me for uni, and I said yes. A few weeks ago, my dad visited me with his wife. They told me that the twins said they're moving in with me and proposed me a deal. He would upgrade my 2-bedroom apartment to a 3 or 4 bedroom if I housed my sister and my stepbrother because they're attending the same uni. I said no, because as much as I cherish the boy, I don't have a strong bond with him. He's not my responsibility, and B is entitled to her privacy and to be comfortable in her living space. His wife accused me of being weird because I agreed to live with my 2 female sisters, but was rejecting her boy. I saw red, and I demanded they left immediately. My dad asked me to think about it, and I yelled that I was not gonna house C and to not come back. At night, he sent me a long message saying how disappointed he was that I was playing favorites, and that I was a bad brother and blah blah blah. I'm not sorry, but maybe I should have handled it differently, and I was wondering if I was the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It's very kind and generous of you to house your sisters, but you are not obligated to house your stepbrother or anyone else. Your stepmother is disgusting for seemingly trying to shame you housing your sisters. Not the a-hole. You know why your stepbrother is creepy? Because his mom is creepy too. For her to imply anything more because you are housing your sisters is beyond gross. You are not obligated to house her kid, and you can play favorites if you want. They're your siblings, and you're not close to your stepbrother. He also has been creeping on his stepsister. She deserves an environment where she is safe and has peace. Not the a-hole. C's mother can't complain about playing favorites as long as she enables his behavior. Also, she's the parent, not you. You do you and play favorites as much as you want. Don't let them gaslight your good deed into a bad one. My husband and I have been married for 8 years. He works in computer science at a large company. My grandparents opened a flower shop many years ago. It was handed down to my parents, and now I run it. I hired Jessica as a favor to my husband's boss. To be honest, husband has really been sucking up lately, as a much higher paying position is going to be opening up, and he wants to get it. I know he is being considerate, but he wants to know he has it in the bag. So after hearing his boss talk about his daughter needing a summer job, he jumped and said we'd love to have her at the flower shop. I could use more part-time employees, and he knew that. So I didn't mind that he offered it to her without telling me first. Well, it's pretty much been a disaster, and she's been here a month. Here's some of what I dealt with. Honestly gave up on trying to get her off her damn phone. She only works 3, maybe 4 days a week for a few hours, but you can bet she will call off late notice for one of those. She's careless, drops things or steps on them, and then laughs it off thinking she's being cute. We don't have a uniform, just jeans and whatever t-shirt you can move around in. Jessica, I don't know why you think wearing a crop top to work is appropriate. Moves too slow. Other manager, a good friend of mine, can't stand her. Says I need to just get rid of her. I've told my husband I can't take it anymore. He insists she only needs to be hired through the summer and she will leave after. I guess she is a big daddy's girl and is an angel in the eyes of my husband's boss. I've tried to talk to her, but nothing seems to work. Like, I'd almost rather pay her not to come in if I have to pay her. Not the a-hole, but your husband sure is. He's a big boy. If he wants a promotion, he can get it on his own. And truthfully, this hurt his chances more than it helps. Enact a strict no cell phone policy and make the other employees obey it as a means to an end. If she misses shifts and is late, document it all. And then let her go and go back to your peaceful existence. And find someone who wants to work in your shop. Sounds cool. I wish I could have that summer job. Just document things in her employee file. Schedule her for less shifts or have her do stuff that takes no effort. Or fire her, I don't know. Not the a-hole anyway. Not the a-hole, but the repercussions from your husband's job could come anyway. The resolution here isn't really an am I the a-hole style thing. My suggestion would be to simply reduce her hours until it is pretty much nothing. That way she isn't there and you aren't dealing with the repercussions of letting her go. Then, after a couple months, thank her for her summer and service and let her go. Does she deserve any of that? Nope. Sister-in-law is the kind of mom that always has to one-up other kids. She constantly talks about how her kids are smarter, taller, faster, etc. than her friends' kids. She literally bragged about them peeing more than her friends' kids when they were babies. It was worse when my husband and I had our twins. Suddenly everything was a competition that her kids always won. One of my girls rolled over at 4 months. Her son had rolled over when he was just a week old. The twins both took their first steps around 13 months. Her daughter was running at 4 months. She didn't actually start walking until around 16 months. She even changed the weight of her kids' birth weights, which makes them both heavier than the current heaviest newborn in America. It's so weird that she feels the need to tell us such obvious lies, especially to people who know she's lying because they were there when her kids were small. I got annoyed when she went from lying about her own kids to telling me there is something wrong with mine. The girls are a few months shy of 2, and they're both healthy, on track, and hitting their milestones. Sister-in-law has become obsessed with the idea that there is something wrong with them because they're not speaking in long sentences. Of course they're not. They're not even 2. They're both developmentally on track, but she insists that her children were speaking in 5 to 6 word phrases by 18 months. Spoiler, they were not. Honestly, her son is almost 7, and I can still barely understand a word the kid says. My husband and I ignored her, but she took it too far when I got a call from her friend who works in early intervention, who was under the impression I was very concerned about my children. We talked, and her friend confirmed that yes, they are on track, and no, there's nothing to worry about. I finally lost my patience. Hey, her kids are breaking almost every record there is, and that should be celebrated. We had dinner with my husband's family on Saturday. Kids were in another room, and I decided it was the perfect time to give her my gift. A booklet I had printed and laminated called The White Claw Book of World Records. I printed all the supposed milestones of her kids, complete with photos and info of the actual world record holders now that they had been pushed to second place. She flipped through the first couple of pages, went beet red, and called me an a-hole. Her husband took it from her and got through the first page before laughing hysterically and asking her why the hell she was still lying. Apparently, it was not the first time they'd talked about her lying about their kids. She stormed out, but texted me later that night and asked why I'd humiliated her when all she ever tried to do was help me get my kids the help they needed. But if that was how I wanted to treat her, then she'd stop. So I guess it's a win for me. I love how her husband asked why she was still lying. You didn't care about her lies, and probably wouldn't have done what you did if she didn't involve outside individuals in something you already knew was normal development that was verified by a professional. She really is an a-hole and a pathological liar that needs to mind her own business. If she was saying there was something wrong with my kids, she would never be allowed around them. There is something very wrong with her. Maybe she should look into getting help for herself instead of innocent children who are fine.